Lalo THR here. What's going down, everybody? I hope you're doing fantastic. I'm doing so. I actually sustained an injury at my job, but I'm doing good. Nothing too serious. At least I don't think so, anyway. I'm doing okay. Just grinding through, man. And I'm reading some of these articles on Ringside News, and quite a bit is happening in WWE right now, and in wrestling in general. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about MLW, Major League Wrestling. Their long fought lawsuit against WWE for violating anti competitive, antitrust laws has come to a settlement, and Court Bauer, the head honcho of MLW, is super happy. His talents are all super happy that this lawsuit is now coming to a close. And they have big plans for 2024, man. They're going to try to get them a good TV deal. They're going to try and run more shows and make more money. And I'm excited, man. Y'all heard me say a few episodes ago that, in my opinion, MLW is a much more viable third brand in wrestling than TNA Impact. Honestly, I think MLW just has a cooler presentation, a cooler look, even a cooler name. MLW, Major League Wrestling. It just sounds cool, man. And they were crushing it, man. In 2019, before the pandemic, they were killing it. You know, guys like Swerve Strickland, guys like Roosh, you know, Ricky Starks, MJF, they were all in MLW back in the day. They even had Teddy Hart coming out with his cat. It was a cool show, man. Mance Warner, you know, Jim Cornette, I think, was a commentator for MLW too for a little while. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. That's one piece of news that I was just reading right before I began this transmission. Also, Royal Rumble, again, shattering records in paid attendance, shattering records. And Royal Rumble, it's another bucket list thing for me to go to a Royal Rumble live one day. Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Those are the two events that I have left that I need to see live before I die. Maybe I want to see Carlos Santana in concert too, actually. That's probably another bucket list thing. Before I die, I gotta see Santana, man. Play his guitar, dude. His first album, his first few albums were just bangers, bangers. All the songs that he's done. But yeah, lots of things going on in wrestling, guys. I'm gonna also do a review, a real quick review of this past week's AEW Dynamite, which was a solid show. It was a solid show. And speaking of solid shows, Monday Night Raw from last night, Monday Night Raw was a very good show. And CM Punk, he came out and he's officially Raw exclusive, as we all suspected he would be. But what we didn't suspect, or at least I didn't suspect, a face-off between Punk and Seth Rollins. And bro, Seth Rollins, I think in a legitimate fight, bro, I think Seth Rollins would beat the brakes off of CM Punk. I really do. Seth Rollins, he's a fucking athlete, dog. He could go. And he had that look in his eyes. He looked at CM Punk like if CM Punk, like if he caught CM Punk fucking Becky Lynch, like if he caught him fucking his wife, he had that look in his eyes, dude. This is a WrestleMania match. I don't know if they're, well, Punk declared himself for the Royal Rumble, so it's official. He's gonna be in the Royal Rumble match. I don't think he's gonna do double duty and have a match with Rollins at the Rumble. So it's pretty much set, man. This is a WrestleMania match right here. Seth Rollins and CM Punk, and I cannot wait to watch that and talk about it. That's gonna be sick. And Seth Rollins' promo on SmackDown, the Tribute to the Troops edition, was also very good. He threw a little jabs in there, talking about, oh, what kind of man punches somebody backstage? It's 2023. You don't just go and hit people in the face, and the crowd didn't even react. And that's a bad look for AEW too. The fact that nobody even cared. They don't even know about AEW, because they didn't even realize what he was talking about. The little inside joke there. If you want to call it an inside joke. But yeah, entertaining stuff, man. Lots of things going down in the realm of pro wrestling at the moment. What's most interesting to me at the moment is still the fact that we have no idea where Monday Night Raw will land as far as a TV network goes. There's still a lot of innuendo going around about Warner Media Discovery being interested in getting the rights to Monday Night Raw on one of their networks, which would be TNT or TBS, the home of AEW programming. So we're going to keep a close eye on that, as is everybody pretty much in the IWC, everybody in the know about that sort of thing. If Raw gets picked up by Warner Bros. And it gets put on, say, TBS or TNT, I just don't think AEW and WWE are going to coexist on the same network. That would be unprecedented, I think. I don't think there's ever been two wrestling companies on one network. I could be wrong about that, of course, but I don't think that's ever happened before. I really don't. It's been certainly not in modern times. I could tell you right now. Maybe in the territory days they had something like that, perhaps. But in modern times, I've never heard of anything like that. It's like ECW. They got a TV deal with TNN, formerly known as Spike TV. Once upon a time, y'all probably heard of them. And now the Paramount Network. But then Monday Night Raw was picked up by TNN, and what happened to ECW? They got shooed out. Like get out of here. Got tossed out like garbage. Like yesterday's dinner. And I think that's the similar thing that could happen to AEW if Raw goes on to Warner Media Discovery. The likelihood of that happening though is kind of slim. I don't know. Because there's all these networks are trying to get the rights to NBA. NBA is looking for a home to air basketball games and whatnot. So I think that's probably a bigger priority for these networks than a wrestling show. But WWE is a pretty big and prominent brand these days, any way you slice it. So it's gonna be very interesting. 2024, guys, is gonna be very, very interesting. That's all I'm gonna say. But speaking of very, very interesting, let's go ahead and get into the AEW Dynamite review. This past episode of AEW Dynamite was a solid show, and pretty much ever since the Continental Classic began, AEW Dynamite has felt important again, like must-see TV. And that's what happens when you have matches that have meaning to them, and not just matches for the sake of matches. So I knew from the get-go that as soon as this tournament pops off, Dynamite was going to be fun to watch again. Because it's fun to root for these guys, and it's kind of like rooting for a sports team. Like, I'm Team Swerve all the way. You know what I'm saying? Swerve should win. But in my opinion, he should be the champion, though. Like the world champion. Not this Triple Crown, blah, 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 ROH, international, whatever. I don't know what the hell. But Swerve should be the champ. And I'm going to die on that hill that he should be the one in the Devil's Mask, as I mentioned before. I think it's perfect. He's got goons. He's got the Mogul Embassy. He's ready. He's ready. Put him in the Devil's Mask because Adam Cole is hurt. MJF is hurt. He needs to take time off, supposedly. And I read this morning that Samoa Joe is also going to be gone from AEW for an extended period of time, filming more content. I don't know if it's a movie or he's got that Twisted Metal TV show that wrapped up not too long ago. But Swerve is ready, man. I would put the title on him ASAP. And a good vehicle that they could use to get him there is by revealing him to be the man in the Devil's Mask. But even still, I'm rooting for him to win this tournament as well, because it could still He could still be revealed as the devil. Well, he can't be the devil and compete in a tournament. I mean, this is pro wrestling, man. This is the wacky world of professional wrestling. You know, the writers could make it happen. You just gotta, make it interesting. That's all we're asking for. Of course, the biggest story to come out of this past Dynamite was Edge versus Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage. And this is something that I still wouldn't have done. If I'm a booker, if I'm a promoter, I would not have let this match happen on free TV. I don't care if it was a fuck finish, if it was more like an angle in a match. I don't care. Because people are gonna pay to see these guys. Just to see them in the ring for the first time in AEW is a big deal. Treat it like a big deal. Don't give it away on free TV just because you happen to be in their home country. Neither of them are even from Montreal, man. They're both from Toronto. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. That's mark-ass booking. Just because they're both from Canada, let's put them in the main event. Come on, man. Both of them in the ring together for the first time in AEW is a major attraction. I would have saved that for a big pay-per-view. I mean, hell, if I'm booking this shit, I'm gonna try to save that to Wembley, to All In at Wembley. And then they could have a rubber match at All Out as well, if they're still gonna do it that way, or at a different pay-per-view event, but Double or Nothing maybe after Wembley. But they got 2 stadium shows. Yeah, they got Wembley and they got the New York stadium show still, right? That's still a thing. So yeah, I mean, that's just me, but it was good. It was good. All things considered, though, I wouldn't have done it, but it was good. They could show these kids how to really work, man. You know what I mean? How to really tell a story with their physicality and psychology in the ring. But Nick Wayne's mom coming out. What's her name? Shayna Wayne coming out and nailing Edge with the title. Let me tell you right now. This can only make sense only if it is revealed that Shayna Wayne is just a straight up bitch. Like, she's a low down, no good, conniving, backstabbing bitch. That's the only way this makes any fucking sense, man. I'm gonna tell you right now. Because, Christian Cage has been verbally and psychologically abusing this woman and her son. And she's going to turn around and hit Edge with the title. What? Because Edge gave Nick Wayne the concerto? That little piece of shit deserved it. He deserved it. You know what I mean? He's still walking. Like in kayfabe even. He's clearly not hurt. He's still running around. I don't know, man. That's the only way this makes sense, though. If she comes out and just heals it up completely, and we just come to find out that she happens to be a real bitch. You know what I mean? A lot of dudes out there, they think she's fine as hell. She ain't fine. Her forehead? She look like an avatar, dog. What's up with her forehead? She look like a Navi. She ain't fine. You want to talk about fine? Toni Storm versus Sky Blue for the women's championship. You know what? My biggest takeaway. My biggest takeaway from this past Dynamite is that I'm going to need to see Jamie Hayter in the exact same ring attire that Toni Storm was wearing against Sky Blue. Whenever Jamie Hayter makes her long-awaited, much-appreciated return to AEW, I'm going to need Toni Storm to let Jamie Hayter borrow that ring gear that she was wearing. Good Lord, have mercy. You want to talk about meats, man. This is Arby's. This was the Arby's sponsored edition of Dynamite because we got the meats up in this bitch in Montreal. Okay? But all joking aside, Toni Storm and Luther, they're actually growing on me as a duo, as a tandem, as an act. You know, that spot where Luther had Tony Storm on his shoulders and she rode him like a horse, commanding him to run in the opposite direction, and they threw Sky Blue out the ring. She got her by the hair. That was fantastic. I'm going to need to see more of that, as well as that ring gear she was wearing. But I'm going to need to see more spots like that, because that was fantastic. That was really, really funny and entertaining. And she sold it good, too. Like, after she did it, she acted all triumphant, like she just did something spectacular. Tony Storm is just killing it right now, man. You know, no ifs, ands, or buts. She is killing it. Clearly the ace of the women's division currently. And I don't know what's going on with Sky Blue. You know, she had that whole thing with Julia Hart getting misted, and she was supposedly going to turn, but then she didn't because her blue energy is more powerful than the black mist, I guess. I don't know. You know, Sky Blue's entrance theme should be y'all remember that old song from the 90s that I'm blue, I will die. If I was green, I would die. I will die. That should be her theme song. I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, man, all in all, this episode of Dynamite was pretty entertaining, and the search for the devil continues of who is in the devil's mask. Everybody pretty much knows that Wardlow is definitely one of the assailants, because it kind of looks like him, big dude. I don't know who else it could be, you know. And of course MJF, he was supposed to be in the tag team match with Samoa Joe against the Unknown, and the devil made an appearance yet again, and then flashed to MJF on the floor, busted up with a broken bottle lying right beside him. And the interesting thing is, this episode planted a couple of seeds here with MJF confronting Adam Page, Hangman, thinking that he's the devil, and then Hangman says, I think you're the devil because you're manipulative and blah blah blah. And that's been a speculation already. There's already been a handful of people speculating that maybe MJF is the devil and this whole thing is a charade, it's a ruse, a plot twist, because the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, blah blah blah, that type of deal. But you know, I never thought it could be Hangman, though. So that's weird, you know, for MJF to accuse Hangman. I don't know what they're trying to do. They're trying to throw people off. They're trying to confuse you. It's definitely not Adam Page, though. Definitely not. MJF, I mean, you know, it would be kind of stupid if it turns out to be him. But, I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Like I said, man, for me, I want Swerve to be revealed as the devil. I really do. Because Adam Cole is hurt, man. What's he going to do? Come out on crutches in the devil's mask? You know what I'm saying? Just put the devil's mask on Swerve, man. And when he makes his entrance, he comes out with that ski mask type of thing. I mean, he already wears a mask, kind of. So, I mean, it fits. You know, give Swerve that main event treatment because he's ready. He is ready. I do not want to see what happened to Ricky Starks happen to Swerve. Where Ricky Starks, y'all don't even remember, but he was so fucking hot when he cut that maxi pad promo on MJF. Then he gets in a match with MJF, loses, and we never see his ass again. Now he's a tag team champ with Big Bill, which is the most random tag team ever in AEW, maybe. I mean, it's just, you know, and Ricky Starks is so much better than what he's doing right now. I do not want to see that happen to Swerve, you know. I don't want to see him go cold and cool down. They need to capitalize right now, in my opinion, because he's ready. My only two gripes with this past Dynamite really is number one, I'm tired of seeing Roosh beat the holy shit out of everybody he's in the ring with, only to lose on some stupid shit too. It's always like, and I mean, that's AEW's forte. That's their MO. They'll have a wrestler like beating the brakes out of another wrestler and, doing all these spots only for them to like make one little mistake and bam, then they lose real quick, clean and easily. But it's especially frustrating for me to see that happen to Roosh because, I mean, I could tell you objectively, I do not see any other performer on either WWE or AEW who looks like he's legitimately beating the living hell out of their opponents like Roosh, only to see him lose. And it's difficult for me to suspend my disbelief, especially knowing that most likely Roosh could probably beat the brakes out of all these jabronis in real life, in a real life fight. And then just for him to lose clean, easily, to Moxley. I know Moxley is like AEW's final boss. Like, they book him so strong. He's like the most protected guy in the company. Why? I don't know. I don't dislike Moxley, but I'm not the biggest fan of Moxley either. He's pretty basic, if you ask me. Honestly. I know if I say that in the AEW subreddit, I'll get banned, dog. They'll suspend my account and say that I was being toxic. But Moxley is pretty basic to me, honestly. He really is. Dude, I respect his work rate and his hustle. I'll say that. I'll give him that. I do respect him. But he's basic. He's average, dog. There's nothing that pops about Moxley to me. He has a very cool theme song. His entrance is sick. Again, I'll give him that. But, in the ring, he's basic as fuck. Roosh should have won this match. It wouldn't have hurt Moxley at all. And it just would have elevated Roosh. And it would have made this tournament that much more interesting. Like, it'd be a kind of like a anything could happen in this tournament type of deal. But whatever, man. Roosh, his only win so far is what? Mark Briscoe? So that's my only gripe. That, and also in the Edge and Christian match, the Adam Copeland, Christian Cage match, I should say, when Shayna Wayne came out, I think they fucked up her apprehension. Like, I think she should have came out, and she should have made it look like she was ready to nail Christian, instead of coming out looking like she doesn't know whether to hit Christian or Adam. It should have been a swerve where she looked ready to hit Christian. Christian was about to get up and she was ready to hit him. And then she looks towards Adam and runs and hits him instead. It would have been way better instead of her playing who do I hit? Who do I hit? I don't know. Because then it became obvious that this bitch is going to turn and she's going to hit Adam Copeland. Because why would she even consider hitting him? He saved her, from the concerto and this and that, It became way too obvious that she was going to turn and hit Adam Copeland. So she should have played it better, where she looked poised and ready to hit Christian Cage, and only Christian Cage, only looking at him. But, she did it the other way. So those are just two little nitpicks. Those are my only gripes. This past episode of Dynamite was good, and I'm looking forward to the next episode and the continuation of the Continental Classic. Actually, one thing I want to touch on when it comes to Andrade, I forgot to mention, is he's now being managed by CJ Perry, the wife of Miro, formerly known as Lana in WWE. And again, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me at all. Again, same thing. And that's one of the things that AEW fucked up on from the get-go is Andrade's debut. Because in his debut, they put him with Vicky Guerrero. And that didn't work. Then they put him with, I guess, I don't know his name, Jesus, I don't know, translator guy. And then they also put him with Chavo Guerrero. And that didn't work. It could have worked, but they had no real plan in place, clearly. They had Andrade punch on Chavo, knocking him out on the ramp, and we never saw Chavo again. And that's mad disrespect to Chavo. That really is. That's a poor way to exit the company. And Chavo said it too. Like, they never called me. I never got a text from Tony Khan after that. Nothing. And so there's been, like, a rotation of mouthpiece acts for Andrade that just didn't pan out. And now they're trying it with CJ Perry. And again, I ask why? You know, why? Like this, why don't they just put Andrade with Rush and they can have the translator guy with them as a tandem? You know, La Facción Ingobernable. I mean, you know, I don't know, man. Like, you know, and CJ Perry, she could be out there with Miro right now instead, while Miro just crushes people and she orders the charge, you know? And I don't know what's going on. I hear reports, not even reports, but I hear rumor and innuendo that Rusev, that Miro doesn't like the ideas that AEW has for him. He doesn't want a job. He doesn't want to, you know, shine nobody up because he's the one that should be getting shined. You know, he should be the one getting put over. And so that's why he's not coming back, because there's issues again in creative. And, you know, I cannot blame Miro, dude. I can't. You know, I mean, Tony Khan has shown his booking philosophy, and it's not a good one. When you got guys like Orange Cassidy being built up into fucking warriors, guys like Orange Cassidy built up like warriors, but guys like Keith Lee hardly ever seen on TV. Guys like Malachi Black hardly ever seen on TV. You know, meanwhile, some snot-nosed, pubescent-looking kid, Nick Wayne, is involved in a major storyline right now, but world-class athletes like Miro and Andrade and Keith Lee, Buddy Matthews, little Tank, he's jacked, and they're nowhere to be seen. You know, I just don't get it. You know, Tony Khan, he has it in reverse. Like the guys that should be the job guys, the guys that should be just like, you know, gatekeepers in the mid card and putting guys over when you need to. Those are the guys that he pushes into the main event scene, or make them look like killers. And then real, actual killer looking cats like Miro and Andrade and Keith Lee and Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black and you name it, they're all, you know, floundering. You know, it makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Any way you slice it, you know. But yeah, CJ Perry, you know, with Andrade, I do not get this pairing at all. I really don't. I'm starting to think that Miro likes seeing his lady with other men. I gotta be honest. I'm starting to think he likes this shit. I don't know. But and you know, that's why he's protective of his booking too. Like, this is a dude that was cucked on national TV, you know, so of course he's gonna be super protective of his booking, of his character. At least you would think. But I don't know. I don't know why CJ Perry is with Andrade. That I don't get that at all. But that's just me. But moving on now, I also want to talk about the negativity surrounding AEW right now, as it's come to a head after the firing of one Kevin Sullivan, not to be confused with the legendary OG Kevin Sullivan, the wrestler from WCW and whatnot. But some production guy named Kevin Sullivan, who was involved in post-production, was fired, and it was apparently a Mike Mansieri call, who I'm surprised even has that kind of power to fire people. Because Mike Mansieri is also a production guy. He's a producer, and I think he's like a director. I think he calls for the camera cuts and things of that nature. But I guess he has a lot more influence than I thought. But after the firing of Kevin Sullivan, it has led to an incredible negative atmosphere in AEW. As you know, attendance is down, ratings have been down, and overall interest in AEW has been down. AEW is in fact a cold product right now. You know, even though they're doing this Continental Classic and, you know, their pay-per-views, they always, you know, they always deliver, in pay-per-views. Like I was at Full Gear, and I can say it was a very fun show. But I mean, I have fun everywhere I go. You know what I mean? I make it fun if it ain't. But I mean, even everybody that watched it on TV said it was a good pay-per-view. So they always deliver in that regard. But right now the TV shows is not really popping right now. Something's just not hitting. They're doing this devil storyline, and they're trying to make chicken salad out of chicken shit because Adam Cole is injured. MJF is now injured, and Samoa Joe even he's not injured, but he's gonna be leaving AEW for a little while to resume filming some projects that he's doing, movies and stuff, TV shows. So AEW is in a real pickle right now. They're in between a rock and a hard place, and it's not gonna get any easier. AEW's product. Tony Khan needs to understand that not every single match on your cards have to be fucking bangers. Like 15, 20-minute classics back and forth, and just so you can make the crowd go, this is awesome and holy shit. And not every match, fight forever. Not every match needs to be that way. If in a perfect world, everybody on the planet would be millionaires. But it's not a perfect world. We actually need people that, are cashiers. We need people that flip burgers. We need people that bag groceries. It's the same thing in professional wrestling. Not every wrestler could be this amazing main event level fucking match of the year contender producing guy. You need your mid-carders. You need your openers. You need your gatekeepers. You need your main eventers. Your champions. And the matches should reflect that. Not every single match has to be a banger. Not every match has to be a classic, dude. It doesn't work that way. I'm not going to take it seriously if I see, a fucking commander and let's say, I don't even know, the Commander and Dralistico. Let's say these two cats, even if they have a 20-30 minute classic, doing all these acrobatics and crazy things, I'm not going to take it seriously because these guys, they're not the stars of the show. They're not the main event. They're not people who I can see become champion, and nor should they be. So you're just wasting time by making these guys go out there and have a 20-minute classic. And then that's just an example. This is not a knock on Commander and Dralistico. This is not a knock on them. In fact, I'm actually kind of annoyed because there's some pundits out there who criticize the luchadors, calling them rent-a-lucha and whatever, things like that, because there's so many of them and they're all the same, but y'all don't say nothing about Japanese cats that are constantly coming in, and they all do the same shit too. They all just do them chops, 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 that strong style. It's all the same, but y'all don't say nothing about them. You just talk shit about the luchadors though. Okay. But anyway, I digress. No knock on Commander and Dralistico, but that's just an example. Not every match has to be that way. Like, dude, let's have finishers be finishers again. How about that? That's a start. Why don't we let finishers actually finish matches like the way they used to be, the way it's supposed to be? God damn it, man. Like every match in AEW, there has to be like multiple false finishes, kickouts of finishers. And the only way people lose, this is the AEW formula. Let's take Roosh. He's a perfect example. Beating the holy shit out of Jon Moxley the whole goddamn match. Jon Moxley gets little spurts of offense here and there. But Roosh is fucking him up. He does his finisher. And then he attempts to do that running corner move, but then gets caught out of nowhere with a clothesline and then the paradigm shift, and he loses. And that's the same, that is the exact same formula for every single match, every match. Of course the wrestlers do it a little differently because not everybody wrestles the same, but they kind of do actually in AEW, to be honest. But it's the same exact blueprint every match. One wrestler, he gets like crazy offense, just beating the fuck out of his opponent, doing all these crazy spots. But then gets caught with one little thing, and then gets the finish and loses. I don't know, man. Like it's so annoying to see that. I can't suspend my disbelief enough, especially when it comes to Rouge, because he's the only wrestler in that company so far that I've seen where it actually looks legitimately like he is fucking up his opponent, like just beating the brakes out of them, only for them to just hit one thing on him, bam, he gets caught, and then the finisher, and he loses. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. This is nonsense. Nonsense. But yeah, I mean, it's not gonna get easier, guys. AEW, it's a rough road ahead if you want to go to the top. Like a wise man once said, it's a long road to the top if you want to rock and roll, and that's the position AEW is in right now. The honeymoon phase has long been over with AEW, and now it's time to grind, and it's time to be better. And I've had hopes. I listen. It's well known that AEW is basically from the get go. We all looked at it like an indie, but with $1 million budget. And that was charming at first. That was charming. I liked it. I digged it. I was into it. But I at least thought that they were eventually going to evolve from being just an indie with a high budget to becoming a fucking legitimate pro wrestling brand that can make a lot of money and produce mega stars, build new mega stars that can rival the Roman Reigns and John Cena's of the world. That's what I thought. That's what I saw for AEW. But 4 years later, guys, it's been the opposite. They've just reverted. Like they've taken backward steps instead of forward. I mean, when they signed CM Punk, and Bryan Danielson, I really really thought that this was the beginning of that evolution that I alluded to, from going from an indie with a high budget, with $1 million budget, to becoming a massive wrestling company that produces mega stars that can rival the Roman Reigns and John Cena's of the world. But instead, they've taken back steps every time they try to go forward. And I don't know if it's because there's an internal struggle within the company. A lot of people said it from the beginning that, having all those EVPs, Kenny Omega, Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, Cody Rhodes. I'm pretty sure Chris Jericho is an EVP. If he wasn't, he is now. I'm pretty sure. But, when you have that many people with that kind of power, it's like having too many chefs in the kitchen. So it's always a possibility that there could have been an internal struggle in the company from the get-go. I mean, Cody Rhodes himself said it. He left AEW because there was just irreconcilable differences. There was just too many differences in direction. AEW was going in a whole different direction, and he didn't like it. So he exit stage left. And so I don't know if that's part of the reason that AEW is kind of in a rut right now, because of just too many different directions and visions that people have for this company. And I don't know anything about the production stuff. Like I said, a lot of this negativity was spurred on by the firing of Kevin Sullivan. And now it's just coming out. People are venting. And you want to talk about venting? Britt Baker is tweeting stuff on Twitter, and it's funny because the nerds out there think this is part of a storyline. Bro, it's not part of a storyline. Like, Britt Baker literally made fun of AEW Full Gear because of how Adam Cole was cleared to wrestle in the main event, even though he's coming out on crutches. But yet MJF, who came back, in the ambulance or whatever, and came out and they try to hold him back, she made fun of that. So that's the smoking gun right there. Because I get her tweeting, oh, I'm not getting any TV time and blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. But when you're actually going to make fun of the show itself and the things that are going on in the show, That's the smoking gun, because there's no way that could be excuse me, there's no way that could be part of a storyline. But then again, who knows? Because clearly the owner here is incompetent. Maybe he would allow his wrestlers to make fun of his own product. But ever since that tweet, though, not the Full Gear one, but the one where she complained about not getting TV time, now it's also being reported that Bryan Danielson is handing out fines for social media behavior now. So that's funny, man. And that just shows you right there that it's not a work. She's legitimately venting on social media about the current affairs in AEW and her position. I'm just gonna end this segment with this. I really want AEW to succeed and to thrive. And they have succeeded, but they cannot ride the coattails of Wembley forever. We'll see how Wembley does next year. Since they're going back, we'll see. But they can't ride those coattails forever. AEW really needs to make something happen because they have a lot of potential. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but I say it all the time. Like, the reason we are passionate, everybody wants to say, oh, doom and gloomers. I don't understand why people want AEW to fail. I just don't get it. Like, bro, we're giving constructive criticism. We don't want AEW to fail. In fact, we want the opposite. At least me. I can't speak for everybody, but like me, dude, I want AEW to be better. And I know that they can be better. Like, way, way fucking better than what they are right now. And that's why it's frustrating to watch. It's like me watching AEW. Here's an analogy. It's like watching a world-class athlete like Michael Jordan in his prime, play play with some amateurs at a park instead of trying to be a professional basketball player. It's like, dude, get out of the fucking park and go, man, go try to be a professional. You could do better. You're a world-class athlete. You could do so much better. I don't know. That's probably not the best analogy, but that's how I feel watching AEW. Like, they have all of the ingredients. They have the good roster. They have the good production. They have the good TV network behind them. They could do so much fucking better than what they've been doing, man, these last couple of years. So much better, man. And it makes me sick to see how they are right now. Because there's no excuse, really. There really isn't. It all boils down to an incompetent booker. I'm sorry to say it. I like Tony Khan. He's a great guy. He seems like a very good person, and like he has good intentions as well with what he wants to do and where he's putting his money into. But like, he's just not he's not a competent booker, man. He's not it. That's what it all boils down to. Because there's no excuse. There's no other excuse for AEW to be in the shape it's in. Because they have all the tools, man. They have all the ingredients to be so much better than what they are. You know what I mean? It's nonsense. They could do so much better. So we'll see what happens in 2024. I hope that AEW can take it to the next level. So I say I want AEW to take it to the next level next year. I'm going to take it to the next level right now because I'm going to give you a few things I want to see from AEW in 2024 that could perhaps take them to the next level, or at least put them in a much better place than where they're at right now. So let's go ahead and kick off what I want to see for AEW in 2024. As I mentioned, finishers. Let's bring back the finisher. Let finishers actually finish matches in 2024. Not every match needs to be Undertaker Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25. Not every match needs to be Taker Michaels, okay? With multiple false finishes and holy shit spots and fight forever chants. Not every match on the card needs to be that. Let's let finishers fucking finish matches. It's that simple. Why call them finishers anymore if they're not going to finish matches? And not everybody not every match also needs to end with multiple finishers in order to end it either. You know what I mean? Guys like Orange Cassidy, it shouldn't take, 3 finishers to finish him. Jon Moxley, okay, I get it. It took 3 Superman punches to finish him. Okay, I get that. Jon Moxley is like AEW's final boss for whatever reason. Okay, fine. I'll accept that. But going forward, most of the time, finishers should end matches. Y'all want to do those crazy Shawn Michaels Undertaker matches? Save that for the pay-per-views. Save that for the pay-per-views. That's where you can go all out with your little mark wrestling stuff. But on the regular weekly TV show, not every match needs to have multiple false finishes and, all that nonsense. Merge the women's championships into one. There's no need for a secondary women's championship in AEW. Not even WWE has, well, they have 2 rosters, but still, there's not a secondary title to the SmackDown Women's Champ or to the Raw Women's Champ. It's just one women's champion. And WWE has a stacked ass women's roster, okay, that could actually support a secondary women's championship and even a tertiary women's championship too, for that matter, probably. But AEW, dude, merge the TBS and the women's championship into one. I know that, Julia Hart and Toni Storm are making a lot of noise right now with their respective titles. But it would make way more noise if you have a champion versus champion and make it for the undisputed women's championship as those titles merge together, and have Toni Storm win it all and really truly become the dominant female in AEW. No secondary women's champion. It don't make no sense, man. You guys have a limited women's roster as it is. Speaking of that, before I continue these things for 2024, I want to say Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné. There's a lot of rumors now that she's having second thoughts about going to AEW now. Now that Triple H, Papa H, is in charge of Raw and SmackDown and WWE booking, now there's rumors that she's flirting, man, with WWE again. And I don't blame her. I said it months ago, months and months and months ago. Long before this news breaks that she's kind of, having second thoughts about it. I said it, like if I was Mercedes Moné, I would not go to AEW because it wouldn't be a good career move. I don't care how much money they're going to pay her. It's not a good career move. She has nobody to work. What's she going to do in AEW? Come on, have a match with Toni Storm. Okay, I'll have a match with Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter. That would be good. And then what? There's no real upside for her in AEW. I don't care how much money Tony Khan's willing to throw at her. Just strictly speaking from a career standpoint, I feel like it would be a career blow to her to go to AEW because there's so much more she could do in WWE right now. It just has a better women's roster. I'm sorry to say it, but WWE has the best women's roster, dude. Rhea Ripley by herself is better than anyone and everyone in WWE's women's roster. Even better than some of the men, too, actually. Rhea Ripley is fucking fantastic, dude. And Bayley, her best friend, she's over there. I don't know, Bianca Belair had a good match already with Sasha. It would just be a better career move for Mercedes Moné to go back to WWE, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, man, merge the women's titles together. Put the world championship on Swerve. Personally, I've been saying it now for the last couple of weeks, couple of months, really, that Swerve should be the one in the Devil's Mask. I've been saying it. You heard it here first. Swerve should be the guy in the Devil's Mask. By hook or crook, so I don't know how the writers could write it in. I have an idea that, Tony Khan comes out and he doesn't reveal himself to be the devil, but he reveals himself to be the one fucking around with the, with the video screens and doing all that stuff. And Maybe confronting MJF, saying, remember when you called me a fucking mark in Los Angeles? Remember? And our debut in Los Angeles? Well, I'm not the devil, but here's your devil. And out comes Swerve and unmasks and says, now you're in a title match right now, bitch. And Swerve kind of like cashing in the money in the bank. And then Swerve goes in there and beats up MJF, man, and takes the title. That's just an idea and very poorly written because that was just off the top of my head. But I'm just saying, there's ways they could do it. Swerve could be the guy in the Devil's Mask. It doesn't have to be Adam Cole. Just because it makes the most sense, it doesn't have to be him. The guy's injured. The guy's injured right now. And then there's still some pundits out there that seem to think it's a work, that his injury is a fucking work and this and that. Come on, man. Really? He's hurt. He can't be the devil. What's he gonna do? Come out on crutches in the Devil's Mask? Come on, man. Make Swerve the devil. But either way, I want to see Swerve as champ in 2024. That's gotta happen. Ring of Honor. I would end Ring of Honor's run as a standalone promotion with pay-per-views and stuff, and I would instead turn Ring of Honor into AEW's version of NXT. Make it a developmental brand where you can send guys to learn up and send good trainers there. I mean, they got rid of Arn Anderson. Why? I don't know. Dude, bring Arn Anderson back. Put him in Ring of Honor and have him coach youngsters and train them up. QT Marshall just left, and I'm pretty sure he's going to WWE. But, I mean, they hire some trainers, I mean, he's got such a big roster. Dude, Mark Henry could be a scouter and talent relations, and he could be in ROH and groom some youngsters, man. Mark Henry has an incredible eye for talent. He's the one that discovered Bianca Belair, and others that I can't think of right now. But Mark Henry is super good at what he does. Like, dude, Ring of Honor could become an incredible developmental farm system for AEW. That's what it should be. Not a standalone promotion. They're already dissolving the titles anyway. What are they doing with the Ring of Honor title? They're putting it as part of the Continental Classic now or something like that. It's really confusing. The Triple Crown thing that they're doing with the Continental Classic, I still don't even quite understand it completely. But it seems to me that they're like kind of dissolving Ring of Honor anyway, their titles. I would make it a developmental system. You could send Nick Wayne over there. That dude, come on, he's a little kid, man. He has no business being in main event storylines right now. That dude should be in a place like ROH, learning the ropes and really honing his craft. And ROH becoming a farm system for AEW could really take them to the next level, in my opinion. Make tag team wrestling good again. It wasn't that long ago, once upon a time, AEW was highly touted as to having the best tag team division in the world, even better than WWE's. Which at that time wasn't hard to say because Vince McMahon was still the head honcho, and you know what he feels about tag team wrestling. So, that doesn't say much, but still, AEW had an exciting tag team division once upon a time, and now it's been reduced to nothing. Ever since they introduced the trios titles, it has left the tag division as an afterthought. And now the trios title division is an afterthought too. Where's the trios division at right now? Come on, man. What I would do in 2024, I would completely abolish the trios division. Abolish the trios titles, abolish the trios division, and instead I would introduce kind of like the Continental Classic, but for tag teams. I would make a really banging ass tag team tournament that could be year round. To crown tag team champions or at least to crown contenders to the tag titles, something. Maybe they win a trophy, they win a cup, a tag team cup. Call it the Briscoe Bros Classic, the Jay White Classic, something like that. And the winner then gets a shot at the tag straps. And this could be used as a platform to elevate tag teams like Bear Country, who are now called the Steel Monsters or some bullshit like that. I really like the Bear Country gimmick. I I regret that they gave that up and now they're like just some musclehead, meatheads. That's their gimmick now. It's stupid. But like guys like them, guys like the Blade and the Butcher, guys like, oh my God, Toa Leona and Khan, who should be built as the next big things in wrestling right now, but they're not. Again, that's AEW fumbling. You got two special guys right there that you're not doing nothing with. And this tournament could be used to elevate guys like them, as well as putting on, again, meaningful matches, not just random matches. This would have meaning to it. I know they have the Continental Classic, but the Briscoe Brothers Classic, or whatever they would call it, the tag team tournament, it could be held at a different point in the year, leading up to the Continental Classic, perhaps. Make tag team wrestling great again. Destroy the trios division and the trios titles. It has contributed nothing. We just have the dumbass, Acclaimed and Daddy Ass Scissoring. And I mean, they sold t-shirts for a while. It served its purpose. It ain't selling no t-shirts anymore. Get rid of the trios titles and the trios division. Make tag team wrestling great again. And of course, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of other things that can improve AEW in 2024. Overall consistency, just have consistent booking, no 50-50 stuff and no overprotective booking, and, just consistency is really one of the main things AEW needs in 2024. And there's a lot of things, obviously a streaming service is what all the fans are clamoring for, myself included. That would be fantastic to have like AEW on Max, especially if we can get the pay-per-views as well. If we can get Dynamite, Rampage, Collision on Max, as well as the pay-per-views, and they switch to a monthly model, I guess they would do, since, you don't have to pay for them anymore. That would be kind of cool. And I think it would be easier for Tony Khan to book, actually, if it was month to month, actually. On the contrary, a lot of people seem to think that it would be bad to have a pay-per-view every month, but I think it would be easier for Tony Khan, because I think then he would be a lot more laser focused on a pay-per-view coming up, as opposed to, focusing on a whole bunch of storyline beats and threads leading into different events and pay-per-views. You know what I mean? I think it would be an easier task for Tony Khan to have a major pay-per-view to build up to every month. A streaming service would be great either way. But with that said, the last thing I'm gonna suggest is probably the most controversial thing. Oh, not even the most controversial thing, but I think the thing that's least likely to happen is I think Tony Khan should step down from being an on-screen authority figure. I know he doesn't make appearances a whole lot, but even when it's needed, I think he should not be the guy that's on screen calling the shots. I think in 2024, AEW needs to instate a general manager of AEW programming, a manager who oversees everything on Dynamite, Collision, Rampage, and the guy who's gonna be tweeting, the guy who's gonna be at the media scrums, talking it up, taking questions and answering questions, and the guy who should be on screen presented as the well-respected authority figure, a general manager. And they had that in spades when they had William Regal. Instead, they had William Regal prance out there with the Blackpool Combat Club. Ridiculous. I don't know who it could be. My idea is Mark Henry. I think Mark Henry would be perfect for this role as a general manager. He already hosts Rampage, right? Does he still do that? I haven't watched Rampage in so many months. I don't even know. But back in the day, Mark Henry would interview the two main eventers for the night and then say, what would he say? It's showtime, or I forgot what he would say. But Mark Henry was the host of Rampage, and I would make him the GM. Make Mark Henry the fucking general manager of AEW, dog. Make him an on-screen figure. Make him the guy at the scrums, taking questions. He's very eloquent too. You wouldn't think so. And all due respect to Mark Henry, I mean no disrespect, but you would not think that this man is really eloquent, but he is. I listen to him on Busted Open Radio sometimes, but also I recently seen him get interviewed by Booker T in the Hall of Fame podcast with Booker T and Brad Gilmore. And Mark Henry was fucking on point with everything. And he even defended AEW. He defended them when Booker T had made some kind of comment like, oh, you know, for being such a small company, and then Mark Henry was like, oh, we're not, you cannot call a company that sells over 70,000 plus tickets in England. You can't call them a small company. We're not a small company. We're this and that. So I'm just saying, Mark Henry, he's great. Make him the GM because Tony Khan ain't it, man. Tony Khan doesn't command any respect. He's not good for PR either. On Twitter, he be having them Twitter fingers sometimes. Y'all seen his meltdown during the quote-unquote Tuesday Night Wars when NXT went head-to-head with Dynamite earlier this year. Or not even earlier this year, just a few months ago, actually. But Mark Henry is the better man for this role. You know, and Tony Khan should retire from making any kind of appearances on screen and talking up stuff. He could, if he wants to tweet still, he could tweet. Like, oh, we're all excited for Mark Henry and what kind of card he put together this week. Something, man. That's my final suggestion for AEW in 2024. Get a general manager. It's time. It is needed, in my opinion. It is needed. Because Tony Khan ain't it. Make Mark Henry the GM of AEW. And he will be a respected authority figure that nobody could fuck with either. That's the best part about it. This would be the first time in history that any wrestling company has a general manager that nobody could fuck with, dog. Like, well, I mean, Triple H actually, I mean, he's the authority figure in WWE that nobody could fuck with, you know, but he's a legit authority figure. Mark Henry would just be the on-screen presentation. I mean, I would give him some pull, of course, but, you know, Tony Khan, if he wants to book, he could still book. They really should hire a competent booking committee, though. They should hire some writers and a competent booking committee and have Mark Henry be the GM. That's really what they should do at the end of the day. And if they do those things, AEW could take it to the next level in 2024. All right, so we're going to close this transmission out shortly, but first we're going to bring back talking boxing because we got some news in the realm of pugilism as Al Heyman, head honcho of Premier Boxing Champions, PBC, strikes a deal with Amazon Prime. It's official. Prime Video will host boxing under the PBC banner in 2024, and this is fantastic news for the sport of boxing overall. And you know what, man? I gotta take my hat off to Mr. Al Heyman. I'm calling him Mr. Al Heyman from this point forward because he's a boss. That man is he's a real boss. You know what I'm saying? And he's showing Golden Boy, petty ass De La Hoya, and Bernard Hopkins how a real promoter, how a real boss makes them money moves and makes things happen. You know, you have De La Hoya and Hopkins being petty with Ryan Garcia, dude. You know, and it's funny to see, you know, two millionaires acting like spoiled brats, you know, with their own fighter. You know, when Ryan Garcia was roasting them at that press conference before his fight with Oscar Duarte, you know, Oscar and B-Hop both, they just looked like spoiled brats, man. It was kind of bizarre to see, but also hilarious. I already touched on that in the previous episode. But Mr. Al Heyman, he is one of the saving graces of boxing right now. I don't mean to be a kiss ass. I don't. But I'm just calling it how I see it. Because for boxing to be on such a mainstream platform like Amazon, bro, this brings boxing one step closer to becoming a mainstream popular sport again. Because boxing, let's be honest, all of us boxing fans, and you already know, And if you don't know, you're in denial. But boxing has been on the decline for years now. For years now. Even before HBO dropped out of boxing, even before that, a lot of boxing fans will look at that as the turning point for boxing when HBO got out of the sport in 2018. Bro, even before that, boxing was declining. It's all about UFC now. It's all about MMA. And the interest in boxing has just been at an all-time low for many years now. It's not something that's just developing. It's been like that for years. So to see boxing on such a major streaming platform like Amazon Prime is super exciting. And it's gonna be interesting because in the press release, Amazon, they said that there will also be like boxing events available on the platforms, like previous events that have already transpired will be available on Prime, on Amazon Prime Video. So that's interesting to me. So I'm wondering if it's gonna be kind of like, I don't know, like maybe WWE Network, WWE on Peacock, where they'll have pay-per-views and then you could replay them and you could watch previous ones and previous episodes of Raw and SmackDown, like that type of thing. I'm wondering if it's gonna be like that, but for PBC on Amazon Prime. Cause that'll be awesome. That really would. That would be interesting. And it doesn't have a whole lot of negativity to it because, let's be honest, when it comes to real actual sports like a boxing, most people, they want to see it live as it's happening. They're not going to go back and watch it. So I don't think it would hurt their pay-per-views and stuff if they started having the shows on Prime Video. I don't see why not. People are still going to pay to see, the big fights like Benavides Canelo. You think, come on, man. People are still going to pay that, even if it's said that fight will be available on Amazon Prime in a month. People are still going to fork out all the money to see that fight. But it's being speculated, it's being rumored that the debut fight on Amazon Prime Video, PBC on Amazon Prime Video, I should say, is going to be the rematch between Terrence Crawford, Bud, and Errol Spence. So that's interesting. That's a big fight to debut too on Amazon Prime Video. I don't think a rematch is really warranted between these guys because it was a one-sided ass whooping, man. Terrence Crawford, he picked Errol Spence apart, dude, and left no questions to be asked. So, Errol Spence, though, he enacted his rematch clause and they're going to do the damn thing. But I don't see how it's a necessary fight at this point. It was such a one-sided ass whooping, man. Definitely I'll, do a review of that fight and talk about it in depth. I don't think I really talked about the first one that much when it happened, but I'm definitely interested in just overall boxing on Amazon Prime. Even though it's just PBC, that would be cool if they got other promoters on the same platform. But so far the other option is DAZN. You have DAZN, and I know Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Promotions. He's on there, and they got a good stable of fighters. I couldn't really name them to be honest, but I know that I think you could see like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua on DAZN, if I'm not mistaken. I think they have a few others. Ryan Garcia, as a matter of... No, not Ryan. Yeah, Ryan Garcia. He's with Golden Boy. I'm pretty sure he's on DAZN. Because I actually almost renewed my DAZN subscription just to watch Ryan Garcia and Oscar Duarte, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it, man. $20 a month is not worth it for the fights that they're offering, and the service itself. The production quality of their shows is just not up to snuff, and they've had technical difficulties with the app before. Last time that I had it, back with Canelo, was still, the exclusive fighter for DAZN. So it's not worth it, in my opinion. It really isn't. But But yeah, that's the only other option is the zone on, the zone. You have PBC on Amazon Prime Video, and you have Matchroom and Golden Boy on the zone. Top Rank, I have no idea where they're at. Maybe ESPN. I know ESPN Plus, they might have boxing. I'm not sure. I think they're more focused on MMA. In fact, that would make the most sense because Endeavor owns UFC now. And yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what connections I'm trying to make there, but but yeah, man, this is exciting. This is really exciting for boxing. And speaking of exciting, in other news, Canelo has hinted at a potential fight with Benavidez, but he said in an interview, he said, quote, "I'm the king. I do what I want." So he is the king. He is the face of boxing. Biggest draw in boxing right now. And, Benavidez, he's going to have to tread lightly, as Heisenberg would say, because this is a big money fight, man. Don't fuck it up. This is a big money fight, and I still stand by what I said. If Canelo doesn't fight Benavidez in 2024, he's a bitch, straight up. He's a bitch ass. He needs to fight Benavidez in 2024. I'll understand if they don't do it Cinco de Mayo weekend. I get it. That's one of his dates, always, right? That's one of Canelo's dates, Cinco de Mayo, and then Mexican Independence in September. Okay. If he doesn't fight him in May, fine. Maybe they both want a tune-up before that big clash. Okay. But if he doesn't fight Benavidez in September of 2024, I have lost respect for Canelo. And he's a little bitch if he doesn't fight. Because Benavidez deserves it. He's more than proved it already that he deserves the fight with Canelo. There's no reason not to give him the fight at this point. You can't use that excuse of, oh, he hasn't shown me anything. He's not a very good fighter. He hasn't beat nobody. You can't use that excuse. After his destruction to Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade, he's proven that he deserves to be in the ring with Canelo. I think. I mean, Dimitri is not like he's a killer or anything, but I mean, he's a skilled boxer, man. He is. He's an Olympian, former Olympian. Went to the. I watched him in the Olympics. I'm pretty sure it was the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Dimitri is Olympian, technical guy, and Benavidez whooped his ass, man, and destroyed him. And that destruction of Andrade actually made Caleb Plant's stock go up because Benavidez couldn't knock out Caleb Plant, although Caleb Plant was just wrestling the whole match, just grabbing. Clearly had Kenny Bayless in his back pocket. Bayless never once threatened to take a point away. But he has that distinction that he survived the Mexican monster, Benavidez. So I'm excited to see Caleb Plant get back in the ring too at some point. I haven't read anywhere what's his next bout, his next opponent, but I will be on the lookout for Caleb Plant. Devin Haney has defeated Regis Prograis, or Prograis. I don't even know how to say that man's last name, but it's a fight that I did not watch. And I'm glad I didn't watch it because I heard it was a stinker of a fight, man. Just really boring. Really, really boring. But Devin Haney is looking to potentially fight Mario Barrios next. And that hopefully won't be a boring fight because I know Mario, he's going to try to fight. He's going to try to scrap. Devin Haney, probably not. But if he can get past Mario Barrios, that would put Devin Haney in position to be a contender to Terrence Crawford, or I should say the winner of Terrence Crawford Errol Spence 2. But given the way Terrence Crawford pummeled Errol Spence in their first fight, I don't see the second fight being any different. There's levels to this game, and I think that Terrence Crawford, he could very well be the best fighter in the sport right now. And I say that, I always say Canelo's the face of boxing and this and that, but, Terrence Crawford, man, he might very well be in actuality the best fighter in the boxing game right now. You gotta give respect where it's due. The dude is talented, man. Really, really talented. And in fact, he has stated he wants to fight Canelo. And Canelo says, "You could fight me, but you're gonna have to come up in weight. I ain't going down." And I can respect that. Moving down in weight is, I think, a taller task than to move up in weight. But I'm not sure about that. I could be wrong, but I think it would be harder for Canelo to move down in weight than it would be for Terrence to move up in weight. And it's Terrence that wants the fight. So if he wants the fight, if he really wants it, then he should be the one to, work his ass off to move up in weight. It shouldn't be Canelo doing it. But yeah, man. So Devin Haney, we'll see what happens there. He's not a fan-friendly fighter, judging by his performance this last outing. From what I heard, what I seen on X. So we'll have to see what happens. I think Devin Haney could potentially be an opponent for Ryan Garcia too. I think they're around the same weight, if not close to it, if not. But yeah, man. And what's next for Ryan Garcia? There's a lot of talk. People want to see him and Tank scrap again. There's a lot of talk on the boxing subreddit. People are surprised that Tank is almost 30 years old and hasn't really beat anybody of note. I think his victory over I think Isaac Cruz, Pitbull. I think that was an impressive victory because Pitbull was actually whooping his ass, and supposedly, allegedly, Tank Davis had a hand injury during that fight, which is why it looked like a one-sided fight, even though Tank ended up winning on points. But supposedly he was injured. And I could see that. I could see that actually, because it looked like Pitbull Cruz was whooping his ass, but maybe it's true that Tank was actually hurt and that's why he wasn't really putting any gas on the pedal. So that would make sense. But man, Tank is a talented guy, man. He's really talented. I just talked about Terrence Crawford, but Tank Davis also is super, super talented, dude. Any way you slice it. I don't care if he hasn't beat nobody of note. Ryan Garcia and Isaac Cruz, those are two notable fighters to beat. And Tank Davis, you just watch him and you see he has that instinct, man. He has that killer instinct. He's so technically sound. His defensive game is almost impenetrable. He's really talented. So let's not shit on Tank Davis. He's a talented cat. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I must bid you adieu. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of THR. I will be back in full effect when I be back. I'm available when I'm available. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Please tip your waitresses. Please tip your Lyft drivers. And as I always say, live life on cruise control. Because sometimes you get farther when you take it slow. Ouch.